Hey, I'm Casey Smith, president of Wise Wealth Management and retired airline captain here in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, it's been a great 5-10 years in the industry overall. In fact, when I was flying over 20 years ago, I remember the struggles of regional pilots and how low pay was. And it's great to see signing bonuses, even for people who are less experienced, so they can actually put food on the table. As an observer, I work with over 200 airline families and doing financial planning for them. It's been very interesting to see other firms starting to enter the space, saying they specialize in airline pilot 401k plans. And recently, a large one, especially here in Atlanta, because they're Delta focused. In fact, I think unfortunately they're made up of Delta retiree pilots who are running it, are offering to manage your brokerage link for a fee. And so I started doing my math on this. Ever since I was at ASA and on the ASA R&I committee, I've provided 401k allocations. And these are built off of modern portfolio theory, nothing earth-shattering, works good, lasts a long time, kind of portfolio building, right? And so inside the Delta plan, and this would apply to United, American, or anybody else, but inside the plan, the average cost of the portfolios is around 0.03% per year. That's very, very cheap. You're not going to get that any cheaper outside of a retail plan, even in your own IRA. And so what we did was we took this other company's approach, and let's say you move money into the brokerage link and you hire an asset manager to manage your money inside your airline brokerage link. Now, to be clear, a brokerage link is connected to your 401k. It just means you're moving money out of the plan into this brokerage account, still under the 401k umbrella, and it's being managed by professionals. So the first thing you have to remember is the majors, they all have very low cost 401k plans, right? Because there's so much money in these, they can negotiate really low fees. So if you move out, you move away from that protection, and the fees that you're paying for these mutual funds or ETFs are going to be much bigger than what you're paying inside the plan. So even if you just take the average expense ratio of about 0.75% for actively managed stocks and bonds, and then you add a management fee of maybe just 0.5%. Some companies are charging 1%. So let's say, follow me for an example here. You're 24 years old, you get hired at Delta Airlines, and you work until, let's say, 63. You don't make it to 65. First of all, if you were putting in the max every year, you would accumulate nearly $10 million in your 401k plan. That's crazy, considering where the industry was even 20 years ago, right? So that's a great opportunity. Now, if you're hiring someone to manage the assets for you and you're paying them 0.5% fee, you would end up paying between asset management fees and the excess fees for being outside the plan in the brokerage account, over $2 million during your career. That's $2 million that you don't have in your pocket anymore. That's going to asset management fees. Now here's the thing. You might say, well, yeah, that's worth it because they're going to do better in the brokerage link than they are in the 401k plan. But that's not what the stats show. There's a SPIVA report, S-P-I-V-A. It's put out by S&P every 6 months. The last SPIVA report shows over the last 15 years, 6% of fund managers beat the S&P 500. 6%. If you go out to the 20-year report, which is available in their PDF download, only 2% of fund managers beat the S&P 500 over that time period. If you go into other asset classes outside the S&P 500, it's much worse. So in the end, you're paying $2 million for the opportunity of a 2% chance they're going to beat what's inside the fund to begin with. So in the end, you have to understand what's smoke and mirrors, what's glitz and glamour, and understand that the core indexes, the S&P 500, S&P 600 for small cap stocks, the foreign averages, the MSCI index, those are all inside all the major airlines 401k plans at a very, very low cost. So the fact that you would pay someone so much money who statistically is not going to outpace what's inside the 401k plan just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. In fact, to help you start an allocation, we provided that free on our website. You can go to pilotretirement.com or wiserinvestor.com and then click on the pilot section. You can select your airline, and then we have allocations that we update at least on an annual basis. They don't have to be updated very often because they're all core asset allocations. But this is something that you should consider before starting down the path with someone charging a management fee for inside your 401k plan. We also charge management fees for managing assets ourselves, but we do that for accounts that have left. So when people retire, we are now managing the assets for a fee simply because asset management has to change once you leave and enter into a retirement. So these are just something to think about before you start going down the path of having someone manage a brokerage link on your behalf. Statistically, it just doesn't work.